here we have it. It's finally back. It's finally here. But we decided to give you guys more content this year. So we are doing our first ever fantasy football preview matchup show, whatever you guys like to call it. But this is our fantasy show, role player style. As always, I'm here with my partner in crime and sometimes my opponent, depending on what the week has in store for me, fantasy football wise. Jay, what can you say?
What can I say, man? I mean, I'm just ready. I'm ready for football, man. It's everything is starting to feel normal again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's starting to feel normal again. So, I'm geeked up about football returning. I'm definitely excited about Sunday. I got everything planned out for me. So I'm ready to get into some fantasy football, brother.
Okay, you say you're ready to get into some fantasy football, but we're gonna see, man. I definitely want to see what's on your mind. And before we go deeper into this show, hey, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that we're doing a fantasy football show, and make sure that they know to find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and a lot of other different platforms. Or look out for us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're out there. So for all you tweeters and you Facebookers, here we go. So some of the key matchups this week in the National Football League. One that you definitely can't just overlook. You got to go with the fantasy football stud of all studs right now. And that's Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to be taking on the Houston Texans on the Thursday night kickoff game. And it's some interesting fantasy guys in this matchup, man. I know, obviously, Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. You can't go wrong, or can you go wrong, Jay? What do you think?
I mean, Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, they should pretty much cancel themselves out. I mean, they both should have big games. They both should have big games from the passing and the running aspect. I'm just curious of who in the hell Deshaun Watson gonna throw the ball to.
I'm glad you said that, man.
That's what I'm thinking of, because I was actually intrigued by this game, and I'm wondering who is going to get the targets for Deshaun Watson.
Well, you got a few guys. You have Fuller, and then you have Johnson. Johnson may not be the biggest threat fantasy wise, but I do think he may be an option for Deshaun Watson just because of his veteranship. He's new to the team. They have to find a way to utilize him. I think they're going to try to involve him quite a bit. I don't know if I can say start Johnson, but if you have Johnson on your radar or if you have him on your roster, you may just want to take a look at him and see what the rest of your backfield is looking like. He may be a low end third back. He may be a low end third back because you just don't know. He hasn't had a good go over the past few years in the NFL, so I'm not sure. But Fuller, he's healthy. Why not start him?
What you
think?
What you feel about Randall Cobb? Because I think Randall Cobb is kind of. I mean, we've been trying to write off Randall Cobb for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And he actually stepped into a nice role with the Cowboys last season and was putting up some good, pretty decent fantasy numbers, getting a couple targets and getting a couple balls thrown. But as I know, Brandon Cooks has been in and out of practice this week. And yeah, you got DeAndre Carter. He's probably not getting any targets. If it's not Fuller, then it has to be Randall Cobb or Darren Fells, the tight end.
Yeah, and Darren Fells he's a nice, safe option, especially if you don't have one of those premier tight ends on your roster. Darren Fells may be a nice tight end number 1, tight end number 2 to have on your team. Again, you might just want to monitor it. As far as Randall Cobb, though, man, he's such a wild card. I'm thinking if you play Randall Cobb, and I don't know, in a standard PPR league, he may be able to net you 12 points. He may be able to net you 12 points. Just from the standpoint of, we all know Randall Cobb, he can get it a lot of different ways. You know, they may run a reverse or two, and he may be involved in on that. He may be great for slot. The Chiefs, obviously, they're the defending Super Bowl champs, and they've done a lot of wonders on defense considering the past years. But I'm still not a believer. And a guy like Randall Cobb, he may just get some action, man. So that may be a good look, Jay. Yeah, good call on that one.
So I got a sleeper for Kansas City.
Oh, here we go.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Marcus Kemp, wide receiver.
Oh, that's deep, man. That's deep. You got to tell the people where you're coming from now.
Yes, Sammy Watkins has been teetering in and out the lineup. They say he's having hamstring injuries. He probably is going to try and give it a go. But they're saying if he can't give it a go, the next man up will be Marcus Kemp. This guy is doing pretty good in picking up on the system, things and whatnot. But he could be a sleeper because we all know Sammy Watkins always come out week 1, week 2. He has one of those monster games. Then he disappear. Well, Marcus Kemp could be a temporary fill-in for some of you guys who just say, well, you know, I'm looking for a big splash for week 1 because we haven't had any preseason football. So you really don't know what to expect. You could take a flyer on Marcus Kemp and you might come up pretty with at least 10 points.
Wow, that's a lot, you know. But if Sammy Watkins isn't out there, I mean, it may be possible. I know for me, I'm looking at that Kansas City backfield, man. You know, you have the rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I believe I said it correct.
You said it right.
And then you have Darrell Williams. Man, if it's me, if I'm talking just solely for me, this has been a funny offseason. A lot of the depth charts around the NFL, it seems as if they're favoring the vets on the teams versus the rookies. It's Andy Reid. He knows what his guys can do. I'm going to go Williams. You know, they're going to put up monster numbers on Kansas City. This may be a high-scoring game, so a lot of numbers. You can't go wrong with Williams, man. You just can't go wrong. I would put him in. He might be a low-end number 2 running back this week or a nice flex option, especially if you're going, you know, per rushes, points per rushes or anything like that. So he may be a nice sleeper for you. And he's still available on a lot of waiver wires. So you might want to go ahead and put that claim in for him.
All right. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, because the rest of the guys, you know, Deshaun Watson is going to put up some numbers. Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, it's going down. So moving along to another premier matchup for the week, man. It's finally here for all of you Yuccaneer fans. But Tom Brady he's arrived, man, and he's going up against the New Orleans Saints. Now, this is a division rival. You know, it's gonna get it may be a low scoring game, but if you know Tom Brady and any offense that he's been a part of, they put up numbers. Now, what numbers? I don't know. A lot has happened with the Buccaneers roster, especially in that backfield with Leonard Fournette coming in from being released from the Jaguars. And now he's the new fresh talent on the field. You don't know what they're really going to do at tight end. Wide receiver is where I'm going to actually start this whole conversation. Mike Evans is injured.
Yeah, he is.
Mike Evans is injured. If you didn't know, now you do. So you got to look at that wide receiver core with Godwin. You got to look at the rest of the receiving core, especially that backfield too. Who can get numbers from Tom Brady? If you have OJ Howard or Gronk available on your waiver wire, which a lot of people race to Gronkowski, but if he's out there, you might want to go snatch him up because Tom Brady is going to look for a nice big target. I think you can do some good numbers with the tight ends, especially you get over like 10 points, maybe 15 points, especially if touchdowns come into factor.
I gotta agree with you on that one. I mean, I'm kind of they have Jaden Mickens, Justin Watson, and Tyler Johnson. Scotty Miller. You familiar with any of these guys?
No, man, it's a crapshoot.
So it's a crapshoot for Tampa. And this was the problem. This was the problem with me getting Tampa Bay players in the fantasy. It's they have so much mishmash and they haven't had a chance to play together. And already Mike Evans probably is down. He's probably not going to play this week.
Well, there's still a chance.
I know Leonard Fournette can't catch out the backfield. They're high on Keyshawn Vaughn. I would have to lean towards LaShawn McCoy having a big game, catching out the backfield, man, because New Orleans probably won't give up but so many. Godwin's going to get targets. Yeah, I got to lean towards LaShawn McCoy having a big game. That's the best pass catching running back coming out the backfield. And I know Tom Brady like I know Brady. I got to lean towards my tight ends and LaShawn McCoy. They'll probably have a big game.
Wow, that's an interesting take because LaShawn McCoy should be available in most leagues.
Yeah.
So that's a sleeper for you right there, especially with all the running back shuffling going on in the NFL. You never know. So, hey, man, that might be a gem right there, Jay. You're just full of the gems, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely full of the gems. And what about the? I'm curious about the Saints. Like, I got a gem for the Saints, man.
I have a gem for the Saints too.
I'll let you shoot first.
You say, huh?
I'll let you shoot first.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this thing. We all know Drew Brees is gonna do Drew Brees numbers. We know Michael Thomas is going to do Michael Thomas things in that backfield. It's going to get involved. But I'm going to have to go Taysom Hill, man. Taysom. I mean, really, though, Taysom Hill just received that nice big contract extension. They're going to involve him. They love him in New Orleans. For what it's worth, Drew Brees is aging, and he had an injury-filled season last season. I'm not saying Drew Brees is going to get numbers, but what I am saying is Taysom Hill is going to get some snaps. And when he gets snaps, he gets touchdowns. Taysom Hill, look out for him to get 1 to 2 touchdowns and possibly 50 to 60 yards, maybe 70 yards, through the air, on the ground, passing. It can come a lot of different ways. So if you can find a way to sneak Taysom Hill into your lineup as a flex option, you should definitely go ahead and sneak Taysom Hill into your roster.
You know what? I think this is the most talent that not Tom Brady, but Drew Brees has ever had. And they have an established receiver on the other side, which is Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah.
So when you have 2 established wide receivers, which means you have to have 2 established DBs and over the top help. So my gem is going to be, and you're probably not going to like this, Jared Cook, brother. Jared is going to be wide open all game long, running down the seams because you got to respect the outside threats now. So if you're looking for a threat in New Orleans offense, I like the Taysom Hill, but I think Alvin Kamara and Jared Cook is the ones because they're going to get those passes. With Drew Brees, when he wants to just hit the checkoff man and the dump off man, those are your guys. I'm looking for those guys to have huge fantasy years. Thanks to Emmanuel Sanders.
I can second that, man. Jared Cook, I think he's a low end tight end 1 this week. Especially like I say, tight end. It's a huge gamble once you get past like the top 2-3 tight ends out there in the fantasy rankings. So if you have a nice solid lineup and then you have Cook out there, I think he's a nice wild card. Only thing that worries me about the Saints, it may be too much talent on the field. And a lot of times when Drew Brees has an opportunity to just pick and choose, he does just that. And he throws to everyone. And then you have a lot of smaller numbers, but consistent numbers. But if you're looking for that, I think Jared Cook can be a nice tight end, man. So definitely a good look on that one. Moving right along to the Seattle Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting matchup, man, just from the standpoint of, you have two heavyweights at quarterback. They're not Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, but these guys put up numbers in Russell Wilson and Matt Ryan. But this Atlanta offense it's just oozing numbers, man. It's oozing numbers. Of course, you have Julio, you have Ridley, you even have Hayden Hurst coming over to play tight end. I think that you could get a lot of numbers out of this Atlanta offense this week, but I'm gonna say the sleeper of it, and he's not really a sleeper, but the sleeper is probably Matt Ryan, man. He may distribute the ball all over the field, especially with that running back situation. A lot of teams don't have a featured number one back, and a lot of teams are going the San Francisco 49ers route of running 2, 3, maybe even 4 guys. So you can't really say what Atlanta's going to be. I will say the buyer beware of the whole matchup between the Seahawks and the Falcons. If you have Todd Gurley, man, you have to move on. It is not 2016 anymore. You have to move on. He's already been limping. They're already talking about other guys replacing him or coming in to take care of business to relieve him. You got to move on from Gurley.
He could be a good flex backer.
No,
I mean,
move on from Gurley.
If I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons, man, I'm going straight Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. To me, there's no in between. They really don't have any sleepers. I'm going Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, because the running back situation is too indecisive right now. They're too indecisive in Atlanta. But yeah, you definitely can't miss with those two receivers. I expect big numbers from both of those guys.
And the Seahawks have so much going on, man. I mean, they don't have the only thing they have consistent on that team is Russell Wilson. Everything else is kind of, you don't know what's going to play. DK Metcalf, you don't know what his impact will be coming back. He should get a lot of targets because Philip Dorsett and Tyler Lockett are the other wide receivers. But I mean, if I'm going with anyone from Seattle, it's got to be Russell Wilson and Greg Olsen.
Yeah. I like the Greg Olsen look because Russell Wilson, other than using the running backs a lot last year before they suffered a lot of injuries there, they were really throwing the ball to the tight end, Will Drissley, a lot. And Greg Olsen may just be the Will Drissley this year. For some of those deeper leagues, Drissley is back. Not sure what his health status is like because, it's kind of up in the air right now. We haven't had a preseason, but he may be good to stash. Greg Olsen may be a nice guy to go ahead and pick up if he's still available. Not sure if I would start him this week, but he's definitely worth keeping on the roster. And I think he has the potential to do some numbers. Not quite sure this week, but DK Metcalf, as you said, that's a nice look because who else is getting the ball in Seattle? I'm even unsure of their running back situation. I don't even know who's going to come out there and run the ball.
No, I mean, they got Carlos Hyde and Carson. I mean, I think he's going to ride the hot hand. I think I would stay away from both of those guys in the fantasy league.
Yeah, you may be making a good point, Jay, because it's too wide open. And I don't know if I can really guarantee anything, but DK Metcalf, if you're going for if you're in a PPR league and you're doing receptions as well, he may be a hidden talent out there because, man, he's going to get the looks. There's not many other options out there in Seattle. So now moving on to our Juggernaut matchup of the week. if you don't know what the Juggernaut matchup is, and this is our first show, this is the one-sided matchup that's going to be in the NFL. I chose it this week, and I don't know, Jay may choose a different one next week or whatever, however we go about it. But the Juggernaut matchup this week, I know you have a lot of those guys out there believing in the Cleveland Browns, but I do not. The Ravens are taking on the Cleveland Browns. We all know what Lamar Jackson is capable of. We know what Lamar Jackson did in the last matchup against the Cleveland Browns. They actually contained him in the first half, but, man, he exploded the second half. I see a lot of big numbers on this field, even for the Browns, because if it turns into a score fest, they're not going to beat the Ravens, or it's not going to even come close, but they may have a lot of guys to get numbers. You have Chubb in this matchup. You have Kareem Hunt. You have Odell Beckham. You have Austin Hooper. You have a lot of guys for the Browns that might can get good quality numbers. I'm seeing a lot of 10s across the board. But I'll say for the Ravens, man, Lamar Jackson is going to feast. Okay? The tight end is going to feast. His name is slipping me right now, but that's going to be a big target. You should see a lot of touchdowns there. Mark Ingram right now is still the favorite at running back. You know, a lot of goal line work is going to come in favor for him. You may see 50 or 40 plus points on the board for the Ravens, man. And if you have Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, or the tight end, I think you're gonna win.
So you're saying they're going to score 50 points on Cleveland?
I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to score 40 or 50 points on Cleveland, man.
And you think Mark Andrews or Nick Bowl? Which one was you talking about? Mark Andrews?
Mark Andrews. There we go.
Okay. So, if I'm a fantasy guy, this is my take on it. I'm staying far away from this game as I can.
Really?
I may take Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson could come out there and throw up a stinker, because guys, these are two teams that really needs preseason to get their consistency down. I don't really trust Lamar Jackson coming out without. I don't really trust him coming out. He don't comes off to me as that type of quarterback where he could just throw darts at any time he feel like. He normally has to be playing, getting game shape, rhythm shape. So, I mean, I would stay far away from this because Cleveland does have a good defense, and they really don't give up huge numbers defensive wise. But if it's somebody I had to play, because Cleveland to me has way too many inconsistencies. I mean, you got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and you got Odell. You don't know if we're going to throw the Odell, Landry, Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper could be the most prominent one. David Njoku, he's the third string tight end now. So
yeah,
it's so many inconsistencies going on with us not having a preseason. I think I would stay far away from this game because you don't really know who's going to do what in Cleveland. And I can't think that Baltimore is going to be able to run up and down the field like they did last season. I would have to go with Lamar Jackson because he's going to have the ball a lot in this game.
Well, you heard it here. Mr. Know-It-All says stay away from the game. I say it's going to be a juggernaut. I can't wait to see how it turns out. I still got faith in the game. I think that Lamar Jackson, Andrews, and Mark Ingram are going to do solid numbers, if not pretty good numbers. And in Cleveland, for what it's worth, I think they may get some numbers here. But it's hard to tell, though, because that Baltimore defense is really, really good. And that takes me into the stardom and the sit-em of the week. So we're going to actually start with the defenses, since that's one of the areas we didn't really touch on. You do have some one-sided matchups out here. I'm going to throw out mine, and then Jay can throw out his. Vikings on Green Bay. That Packers team didn't do a lot to add to their roster offensively. Aaron Rodgers is a great talent, but he is aging. The Vikings is loaded on defense. I think this is going to be a favorable matchup for the Vikings defense. Then you have Philly on the Washington football team. I still got to get used to that, man. But the Washington football team, they have nothing, absolutely nothing. This is a great way for Philly to start off the season. You may actually see one of those 30-point defensive matchups, or if you play in individual defensive player leagues, you may want to pick up a lot of Eagles this week because there's going to be plenty of numbers to go around. And then the 49ers on the Arizona Cardinals. The 49ers defense is just too strong. I see them as being able to just go ahead and walk away with this game, even though it's a division rivalry. I think that the 49ers can go ahead and get 15 to 20 points, possibly another 30-point game. What you got, Jay?
Well, I mean, I got one starter. You pretty much hit everything. I mean, my one starter is start the Chargers defense on the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a rookie quarterback. He has not took a snap. He hasn't seen any live bullets at this level. I love you, Joe Burrow, but brother, man, when we got Bosa, what is he, the $150 million man?
Something like that, yeah.
And then you got Melvin Ingram coming from both sides of the field. Oh, man, let me tell you, man. Joe Burrow is in trouble. He is in trouble. They got some talent in Cincinnati, but he hasn't seen live bullets, and that's the first live bullet he gets to see. Good luck, my friend. Start the Chargers defense.
All right, so going on the quarterback, man, who you got as some startums and sit-ems?
Startums and sit-ems at the quarterback position?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got to go with Carson Wentz. You said the Washington football team. I got to go with Carson Wentz, man. Start Carson Wentz, and start Carson Wentz again. I mean, I'm gonna go with Derek Carr. Carolina has no experience on their defense, man, and they you have a bunch of rookies on this defense, a new coaching staff. You have got to start Derek Carr on this defense, man, because I mean, he's a professional quarterback. These guys are rookies. And of course,
go ahead.
Of course, I'm gonna go. I was gonna go with a homer pick. But I'm not going to. I am going to go. It pains me to say this. Josh Allen on the New York Jets. Man, the New York Jets have nothing. Nothing on that team.
Man, that's funny.
You have to stop Josh
Allen. No, I think that's a great look. I'll say, I did have Wentz on my list as well. Some other guys to look out for. I already said Matt Ryan. Big Ben on the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Again, they're lacking on defense. Big Ben is itching to just get out there and throw that ball, man. So in a pass-happy, offensive-friendly offense, yeah, look for Big Ben to do some work. I'll say two sleeper guys. Even though I said Big Ben is going to do work on the Giants, look for Daniel Jones to possibly do work for the Giants. I believe in the guy. This is mostly gut feeling. I think he's going to come out there strong. He had a pretty solid rookie campaign. The Steelers, they don't wow me on defense. I think if you stop TJ Watt and Fitzpatrick, you're pretty much in the game. You're in the game. And the Giants actually have a lot of overlooked talent on their offense. I think these guys can come out and really do some work with Daniel Jones. And I think he's going to get some quality numbers. And, hey, man, it pains me to say this. He's going up against my Jaguars, but he eats the Jaguars alive. Phillip Rivers, man, that defense in Jacksonville is completely inexperienced. You're talking about, I think, possibly 4 rookie starters on the defense or 3 rookie starters on the defense. I can't remember exactly how many. You're talking about a lot of guys that's been misfits. they're gonna have to go up against Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers, he just knows that defense down in Jacksonville, and he eats it alive. That may be a great look for you if you're looking for some hidden gems. I'll say look to the young guys. I know Jay said stay away from Joe Burrow, but if you're in those deeper leagues, pick them up, stash them away. I think he may have a solid rookie campaign, but Jay made a good point. These guys have not seen any action. I would also say Gardner Minshew. He put up pretty solid numbers last year. If he can come back improved, I think he can be a 20-point guy. He may be a low end starter, or if you have a bye week going on for you, 1 week, you might want to stash him. And then Tua, you got to take Tua just for the name Tua. Why would you pass up on Tua, man? I think he can get some pretty good looks later on in the season. I'm going to go into some sit-ems really quick, and I'm going to just run them down, man. Cam Newton, that Patriots offense was abysmal with Tom Brady. I don't see it happening with Cam Newton. I'm sorry, all you Cam fans and Cam stands. I just do not see it. And I think those days of him being a dual threat are long gone. Jared Goff, another $100+ million man. I don't see it. I don't see it from him. He had a horrible year last year. Unless they can get that running game going, I don't see it. And then Kyler Murray. This is not the week for Kyler Murray. He's going up against the 49ers. He's going to be running laps in the backfield, staying away from Bosa and the rest of that 49ers rush. I can't see it, man.
Well, I got a couple stardoms. My stardoms. Well, I'm gonna start off with my sleeper. My sleepers is Jerick McKinnon from San Fran. I mean, they've been waiting. He has to be a sleeper. He's finally healthy. Shanahan paid all this money for this guy. You've been waiting for him for 3 years to come on the field. You got to have some packages set aside for this guy.
Yeah.
So you also want to sit. You want to start. Sleeper. Let me stay on my sleepers. I got a couple more sleepers as well. I like Daniel Jones. I think a lot of people's not really paying attention to him. I agree with you on that. He slung the ball around the field last year. He should be able to do it again as well. And you might not like this, man. I say Matthew Stafford gonna have a big game against the Bears, man.
Oh, no, I think that's possible.
How many games he missed last year? Well, he missed 10, 12, 13 games last year.
Yeah.
His first time being back in action, and he's going against the dysfunctional Bears. Oh, man. He's going to light them up, which goes to my sit-ems. I would sit Mitchell Trubisky. Of course, Joe Burrow. I would sit Dwayne Haskins Jr. And that's pretty much for my sit-ems. My stardoms. I already hit you with my stardoms. That's pretty much it, man. I really done touched on most of my sit-ems and my stardoms.
Okay. I'll say sleeper wise, man, for me. I have a few sleepers, and they're all over the field. I already said Williams for the Kansas City backfield. Don't forget about Philip Lindsay out there in Denver. That offense, I think they have a chance to do something reasonably well. Drew Lock is back for his second year. Jared Jeudy. I think Jared Jeudy is a nice sleeper. I want to also go with that running back field in Jacksonville, man. This is a sleeper, all inclusive, and also kind of like a sit-em. If you picked up Ozigbo, go drop him. Go drop him now. He's probably not going to even take the field. He's suffering. He's battling a hamstring injury right now. Chris Thompson and James Robinson. Don't know what you're going to get with those guys, but I say go ahead and play them. They may be some nice low-end starters for you this week. I'm also going to go with Greg Olsen, as we said before. And then I know you said the Jets is horrible, Jay, but someone's going to have to do something. I'm going to go ahead and go for the old Rip Van Winkle
You know,
of
I
the team.
got to say.
I'm going with Frank Gore, man. Le'Veon Bell, he's done. I don't see it. I don't see it. I think Frank Gore comes in after halftime. I think they say, let's just see what he has. I think Frank Gore can rack up a solid 10 points, maybe 12, 15, because he's going to get a touchdown if they get in the end zone. He's a solid option. And then on the receiver end, I'm going to go Brian Edwards for the Raiders, and I'm going to go Anthony Miller for the Bears. Allen Robinson may get targeted out there on the field, and hey, someone's got to catch the ball from Trubisky. Might just be Anthony Miller. He's had a nice offseason. As far as some more systems that I have, I'm going to just go down the list. I would stay away from Marlon Mack for the Colts. Don't really know what that backfield is going to be. And for what it's worth, Jonathan Taylor, he's the rookie back, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. Stay away from the rookie running backs week one. Stay and jump on the rookie wide receivers week one. If you're going to win anywhere with the rookie, I think it'll be at wide receiver. I would stay away from Cam Akers. I would stay away from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would stay away from Dobbins for the Ravens. I would stay away from a lot of those rookie running backs. I would stay away from Tariq Cohen. I don't know what that Bears offense is going to be. And he didn't have the most productive year last year. And it's just a lot on the table. I don't know if they'll even produce any offensive numbers, even though I said Anthony Miller is one. Leonard Fournette, for the sake of week one, don't know what that Tampa Bay backfield is going to be like. You might end up losing out with Leonard Fournette. He still is kind of new to the system. And I would say on the receiver end of things and the tight end of things, stay away from Austin Hooper. Again, that Browns team, I think they can get some numbers, but they are going up against the Ravens. And then Amari Cooper, Jalen Ramsey just got a big fat payday, and I'm pretty sure he's going to shadow Amari Cooper. But you might want to pick up CeeDee Lamb on the opposite side. And then Julian Edelman. Cam isn't really a passer. That offense is terrible up there in New England. Stay away from Julian Edelman and Christian Kirk. Anyone for the Arizona Cardinals, just steer clear. I would steer clear. I would.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, this week I would steer clear because that's a lot. That 49ers team is going to be itching to show that it is ready to respond to that loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's an outstanding defense. I don't see anything happening for the Cardinals this week. But you got any more to add, Jay, or?
Nah, you pretty much covered it all. We pretty much hit it all, man. It's always going to be something pop out there next week.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Before we close out the show, Jay, you got any hidden gem that you're going to play on your team this week in our big fantasy league? Because we're actually in a few, but we're playing one for some cash. So, Jay, you got anybody that you're going to shock the world with?
Yes, I'm gonna play Reed, the tight end from San Francisco. I'm gonna play him because last season, we have to base everything off last season. So last season, Kittle had a field day with these guys. They really can't guard the tight end position, and they took away Kittle, and we was trying to throw out the backfield. It wasn't working. So I'm actually gonna play McKinnon and Reed because someone else has to have a big day. It's rumored that Debo and Brandon Ayuk might be sitting this one out just for precautionary reason because they haven't really practiced. So especially if those guys are missing, that means the tight end game is going to be heavy and the receiving out the backfield. They stopped the run. They were the only team last season that stopped San Fran and kept San Fran only averaged 2 yards per carry. So they kept them under their average for 2 games. So I'm expecting McKinnon and Reed to have big games. Now they may not explode, but they'll definitely should have anywhere from 10. I say Reed have 10. McKinney might be shooting for about 15 points on Sunday.
Okay, that's an interesting take. I can't drink the Kool-Aid that you're drinking,
Of course.
but I can't. I'm not gonna hate on it because we've been at this fantasy thing for a while. I'm actually gonna look at my roster, and I am one of those fantasy owners that has Mike Evans. Not sure if I'm gonna play Mike Evans, but if I do not play Mike Evans, go ahead and look out for the waiver wire king, Robbie Anderson. The dude gets numbers. I know he's on a new team with the Carolina Panthers, but the Carolina Panthers have to have a deep threat. I'm going to look for Robbie Anderson to pick up about 12 to 15 points for me, man. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think he can pick up the numbers because I'm not quite sold on DJ Moore, and I'm not quite sure if he and Teddy Bridgewater has a good chemistry. But I do know that Robbie Anderson has been playing with some terrible quarterback play over the past few years, and he still gets numbers. I'm going to look at Robbie Anderson on my roster, man.
That's kind of dicey. Vegas got some pretty good DBs out there. They're young, though. They're young.
Yeah, they're very young.
DBs. But, we'll see. That's an interesting take because he can that Vegas and Panther game, people not expecting. I think it's going to be very high scoring. I think that's actually a game that's going to have some good fantasy points, especially Christian McCaffrey. I mean, we didn't talk about him. He's obviously star.
Yeah. I think at this point, if you're talking about CMC or Saquon Barkley, you must not be a fantasy head. But I know we are fantasy heads. Like I say, we've been at this for quite some time. We're actually using the Sleeper Fantasy Football app this year for one of our leagues. If you don't know about the Sleeper Fantasy Football app, it actually has a lot of good features. It has a lot of great rankings. You might want to use it. You might want to plug it out there for your fantasy league. And it's pretty much free, and it's all customizable. You can't go wrong with it. I think it's a pretty solid app. This is our first year with it. I'm going to go ahead and promote it. But I cannot wait for that Thursday night game and the rest of the NFL Sunday lineup. Dude, like you said, we're feeling normal again. And if you're not feeling normal again, wait until Sunday morning, my friends. It's going down. This has been the Role Players Fantasy Football Show. Like I say, find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, a lot of different other platforms. You know what it is. And find us on social media. Hey, if you have a question or it could be anything. It could be anything off the top of the dome, anything out of the far spectrum of the universe. You can ask us any question you like to. I'm sure me and Jay don't mind answering the sports-related questions and the fun-related questions. So just shoot us a tweet, Facebook us. You can send us something on IG. And hey, until next time, Fantasy Heads.